Hi, I'm Pastor Karis Graham. Thanks for taking time out of your day to spend a few minutes with me. As a Lutheran pastor, this has been an amazing couple of weeks. As Lutherans, we are born out of a protest movement. There was this man, Martin Luther, who had 95 theses or complaints against the one and only church of the day back in the 1500s, the Roman Catholics. And Martin Luther found his voice through protest. He took those 95 theses, went to a church door where everybody saw what he was going to post, and banged with nails the 95 theses so everyone could read his protest. One of my years in seminary was spent in Germany. And while there, I was so honored to spend some time with my mama and papa. They were a student exchange family for me, and I would spend summers in the fields helping on the farm, and holidays around the Christmas tree with real candles burning on it. But not far from their house, decades earlier, had been a concentration camp, and it was called the Chemnitz camp. It was one of those earlier Nazi concentration camps created by the Third Reich to jail political opponents after the Nazi Party first seized power in the year 1933. The purpose of that early concentration camp was to terrorize political opponents, primarily communists, but also socialists, dissenting Christians, and trade unionists. There was another camp, too, that me and my papa oftentimes talked about, and it was in Meppen. And the Nazis ran that concentration camp during the 1930s and 1940s. It was there where those prisoners built what was known as the Freisenwall. Basically, they constructed a wall, the prisoners did, that was designed to protect the entire northern coast of Germany from the Netherlands and the Danish border. That was their job. And when their work of building this wall was done, they were sent away to another concentration camp, many of them to be gassed to death. I remember asking my father, who was a farmer in the fields one day, why he didn't speak up. And he insisted that he was a teenager and he really didn't have any idea what was going on. And when I asked him about the smells in the air, he said, "Oh, I just thought it was increased manufacturing due to the war. I didn't know that they were Jews and gays and people with disabilities. I had no idea. And plus, I didn't think my government could ever do that." Despicable. Dispensable. That's how the children of God were viewed by the state of the time. Truth is, as people of God, we can't believe in a place where some people are considered better than others, or where there are superior races or cultures or religions, without carefully labeling and eventually oppressing, exploiting, and finally leading to extermination of others because we believe they're less than. The only thing that was more upsetting to me when I thought about those concentration camps was that as a young Lutheran pastor in training, back then, it happened in a culture where the Lutheran State Church refused to believe or look the other way and remained silent that others were dying. In Nazi Germany, the churches became political pawns, places where people should be feeling safe no longer occurred. A matter of fact, back then, churches were required on their altar pyramids to display the Nazi swastika. And the huge majority of the congregations complied. People didn't speak up. And then, to add insult to injury, the Nazis misquoted Martin Luther all the time. And they told people in the congregations that they had to obey governing authorities. Now, I am no way calling for any insurrection. I'm not. But there are times for us to speak up. During that time in Nazi Germany, there was a Lutheran pastor by the name of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and he acted and spoke boldly about the gospel of Jesus Christ, even to an authoritarian state. It eventually cost him his life, as 2 weeks prior to his concentration camp being opened, he was hung by a meat hook. Today, the protests we are witnessing, or may be a part of, are only the tip of the iceberg and symptoms of mounting decades of hatred toward people that some people believe are less than. And they are the most blatant response to so many and for so many. Hatred and evil are lurking under the surface for so many. Sadly, we've become an us versus them people. It's an us versus them world. Some people are calling for us to take back our country, which of course means making it look a certain way without certain people. We at Hope Lutheran Church denounce racist oppression in any and all forms. Before there is true healing, which we all know needs to happen, there has to be true reconciliation. To reconcile means turning one's way, to look inward, to look at ourselves and be honest. Talking about race and the systems that have led to countless injustices is an incredibly important conversation that can no longer be avoided. And we need prayer. We need mighty prayer. We Lutherans have a shameful history of quietism. We must speak out against the evil of racism and self-righteousness, or wanting to jump and blame other people because we see bad examples that are being had out on the streets, such as violence and looting. That's an easy out. We are called to love our neighbors as ourselves. And for those of us who feel called to protest peacefully. The ELCA has a helpful social statement on race, ethnicity, and culture. I encourage you to go to that, Google it. The ELCA statement on race, ethnicity, and culture. Looking the other way no longer helps anyone. In the midst of the outrage and the shock over the death of George Floyd, we want to respond in a way, and some of us are even saying we don't even know where to start. At Hope Lutheran Church, starting on June 7th at 9 a.m., we're going to pray. Or for those of you watching this afterwards, we did pray. Our prayers and our presence are sending a clear message that the church, like the Savior we proclaim, always stands on the side of marginalized people. We're not stuck in our paralyzed past and present. And we are not slaves to fate, but people of faith. I invite you in the coming days to pray. Pray for peace. Pray for reconciliation that will bring healing. And we will walk together this road in the days and the months to come.